Good morning, guys. Welcome to today's training. I'm happy to have you here. If you don't know me, or if you're new to me, I'm Burtcher, and I help codependents rediscover their happiness after codependency, after narcissistic abuse and neglect. So, let's get right to it. Before I jump into today's topic, which is the paradox of healing, I'm going to share this out to the community. Now, the community is where you find emotional refuge, shelter, support, people who understand what you're going through, what you're dealing with, what you're confronting. And it's private, it's secure, and I monitor it. I respond to most of the posts, and the community sees you. We've got your back in this journey back to you and back to your happiness. So, put it on the table. So, that's what we're going to be. So you can join that today by clicking the link above on Facebook and below on YouTube. So, all right. Just knock at the door. People putting some stuff in the apartment there. So, yeah, let's get to it. I need to share that out. So let me share it here real quick. Let me know in the comment below, guys, how you're doing, how things are going for you. Because I know with all this COVID fun, there's lots of drama out there about it. Lots of things happening for people. So, let's get into this. The paradox in healing. Healing happens when you're not healing. So, a lot of times with codependency, the drive is to fix ourselves. And we believe that if we fix ourselves, then everything else will get better. They will stop behaving the way they behave, that they will stop reacting the way they react. And instead, they'll return to that person we knew them to be, that loving, beautiful person that was giving us a lot of attention and love and praise and affection, and fulfilling these needs. We felt valued, we felt worthy, we felt wanted, we felt seen. Plus, if we can heal, aka fix ourselves, then the chaos will stop, the pain will stop. And there's this big fantasy with us in codependency that says, if I'm healed, then I'll be lovable. I'll finally be perfect, and then I can be lovable and I can be myself. And that's the corrupted view of healing. And it's actually a narcissistic view that we were fed by the abusers and by the system if we're dealing with a narcissistic organization. Because they want us to be perfect. And really, what they say when they want us to be perfect is that they want us to be needless, not to have feelings, not to incur on their territory, not to ask them of things that they wouldn't want to do, not to be an inconvenience to them. They want you to be in complete alignment with whatever they want, so that they don't have to take emotional responsibility for how they feel. They don't have to take responsibility or accountability for their actions, their wants, their needs. Instead, you get to be their supply and get to do that for them. And we've absorbed that as, my feelings are a problem. My needs and wants are signals that I'm selfish, or I'm broken, or I'm too much, or I'm too little. And I've got to fix these things. I got to heal so that I can, not react to their verbal or emotional or even physical or sexual abuse. I've got to heal so that I am less reactive to their neglect, right? This is what we've internalized as healing, and that isn't what healing is at all. In fact, that's kind of the trick here. We get into this habit of trying to fix ourselves, and then things don't work, so we try harder and harder and harder. We go through this shame cycle of fixing ourselves, becoming ideal. The idealization fails. To change their behaviors, we feel like we fail, so we're unworthy and shameful, and round we go. Then one day we wake up and we go, maybe it's not me. Maybe I'm not the problem here. Maybe it's them. So we start to investigate that. We start to understand that. We start like, what is going on? What's happening here? What is occurring with this person? So we start to question and open up to the idea that maybe it's not just us. Maybe there's something else going on. And then we start to discover what's really happening, that we're being gaslit, we're being made to feel crazy, we're being verbally, emotionally, physically abused and neglected. We're being pressured, we're being controlled. We're being manipulated. And so now we have this trauma. I call that the discard trauma, the trauma of being disconnected from self, having given ourselves up, shedding ourselves, becoming a shapeshifter to their needs, having our needs, wants, feelings, our person neglected, denied, ignored, things like that. Now the real healing starts to emerge, but we still have a challenge here. We think that the pain we feel needs fixing because we equate pain with something being broken or something being wrong with us. When in reality, the pain that we're experiencing tells the story of what we've been through. This is really important because this made an enormous amount of difference in my healing. Is when I understood and I trusted and I accepted that the pain I feel, the grief I feel, the sadness, the jolt, the anxiety, these are the stories. These are the language of the stories of the experience that I've been through. They're telling the tale of my journey. Rather than declaring to the world and to myself that there's something wrong with me, that who I am is somehow broken, and that these feelings are a result of that brokenness. And that's not true at all. The feelings you're experiencing are a result of what you've been through, what you've experienced. I invite you to lean into that, to give that a little space to land, a little space to connect with yourself. Because it's okay that you have a lot of anxiety. It's okay that intimacy is scary. It's okay that you crave love and attention. It's okay you feel empty without a relationship. It's okay if you feel lost because the world doesn't make much sense at the moment. Because these are what we feel when we go through these kinds of experiences. This is a normal way to feel, an understandable, and even you could say rational way to feel about what you've been through and what you haven't gotten in your life. So let that land for a moment, because it's in this acknowledgement and in this legitimization of your experience and your feelings that you start to discover real healing, true healing. Because what real healing is, at least from my point of view, is a discovery of self, and sometimes the rediscovery of self. And then it's an integration of that self. It's the shedding of shame and guilt and the false ideals, the false identity, and going back into the real contact of ourselves and the context of where our pain comes from and where we've come from, and to legitimize that. And I do that. There's a number of ways to do this, but one way that I've been experimenting with clients with myself is this little 5-step process called APLCC. And that stands for I acknowledge what I've been through. I acknowledge what I'm feeling and what I'm thinking. I give myself permission to feel and think what I'm feeling and thinking. And then I legitimize it. And that means I ally with it. It's legitimate. It's valid. And I do that verbally by going, of course I feel this anxiety. Look what I've been through. Look how I've been treated. Of course I feel this apprehension. Look at the experiences I've had. This helps us cognitively create the awareness around the context of why we feel what we do. And that gets us out of this broken sense of self. It gets us into a sense of compassion and understanding and respect for what we've been through. And from legitimization, then we can check in with ourselves and see how we're feeling, because a lot of times we start to relax a little bit and get a little deeper contact with what we've been feeling, what we've been going through. And then the 5th step is to allow ourselves to ground back into our bodies, and we can regulate and calm ourselves there, bring a little more love and caring to our world. This helps us get out of the old fix-it paradigm and gets us into the legitimization and true discovery paradigm of healing. And that brings us to the paradox. When you're not healing, when you're not trying to make yourself better, you're not trying to get through something, that's when you actually heal. Okay? So when you're doing processes that align you with you, rather than force you to try to fix something, that's when you're healing. You know you're healing because you're expanding. You can feel yourself get different insights and ahas. Your wisdom starts to show up. Your brilliance starts to shine. you stop questioning yourself and you start validating yourself. You start going, of course I'm feeling that way. So now I can meet my need and my want there. I can restore safety back to my world. And this gets you out of that paradox of trying to make healing happen versus receiving healing and discovering it. So that's today's training, guys. I appreciate you. Remember that you're worth knowing, loving, and keeping. Thank you for being the badass you guys are. And remember, you have access to the community. The link is above on Facebook, below on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, because I release trainings weekly, several times a week usually. And also, Rapid Heal is open for enrollment. I've got 2 versions. I've got the solo guided version, which is always going to be $97 for lifetime access, or 4 payments of $25. And then I have also what's called the Live Mentoring Edition, where you get access to live trainings with me. You also get access to live mentoring hours twice a week. Right now, you can get that for $297. And that conjoins with the upcoming live training of Addiction to Connection, where we address trauma bonding and love addiction. So keep your eyes out for that, because that's coming in June. Again, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you, and I will see you in our next training. Bye-bye.